Välkommen! Welcome to our episode on Scandinavia. Hi guys, welcome to the podcast. Today we have Maddie and Tyler. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hey everybody, my name is Tyler Leach. I'm a senior, obviously at the University of Rochester. My major is computer science, and I hope to be a UX designer in the future.
I'm Madison Shu. I'm a senior at the University of Rochester studying health, behavior, and society.
What program were you guys involved in, and where did you guys go?
We were involved in DIS, which is Danish Institute for Study Abroad. It was created originally for Copenhagen. That's their OG office, but we went to Stockholm, Sweden.
And did you guys decide to go abroad together, or were you guys both just interested in Stockholm, and did that lead you guys to going together?
Yeah, I feel like we were separately interested in it.
Yeah.
It just worked out that way.
Because just for some context, we're all friends before study abroad, and it just so happened that some of us went to the same location. Me and my friend both went to Barcelona, and then Maddie and Tyler, along with other friends, also went to Stockholm. So that's a little interesting. What sort of attracted you to Stockholm specifically?
I was looking at a lot of places, but since I switched into my major late, I really had to focus on fulfilling my major requirements. And I saw that DIS Stockholm allowed for 2 core courses, which is the maximum number of courses you can take abroad. So that was perfect for me. And I also love the brand Acne Studios, which is based in Stockholm, and some other clothing brands. So that honestly is what led me to going to Sweden.
Okay, nice. What about for you, Maddie?
I feel like having all the options was really nice because you can literally go anywhere. But for me, I get really overwhelmed by choices. So I like that they make it so that there's specific programs that are tailored for what you're studying. And Stockholm was one of the best ones for public health. They also just have a really good public health system there.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that. I feel like when I was looking at the Study Abroad website, I was filtering for specifically business programs because I'm a business major. And similar to Tyler, I switched into my major pretty late. So I knew if I wanted to study abroad, I really needed to make it work with the classes I was taking to get it approved. And even though that's not the case for everybody, that does apply to some people. So I think doing a lot of research into if you can get classes approved / if it tailors to what you're interested in is really, really important and valuable. So can you guys talk about what program trips you did built in with DIS Stockholm? Because something really unique about their program is that they take them on weekend trips to different countries, that's pretty unique. My program didn't really do anything like that. So tell us where you guys went.
Yeah, so I feel like our program's very community based, and they make our classes kind of a little family almost, or group. My class went to Oslo, Norway for 3 days, I think, for a short study tour. And then we also went to Berlin for a long week.
Yeah, because we have these 2 study tours. The first one's within the first month of you being there, and that's called your short study tour. And I went to Copenhagen in Denmark. And then for my long study tour, which is kind of around what spring break would be at U of R, I went to also Berlin.
And are these trips that are out of pocket, or are they completely built into the program and covered by DIS?
So you get your transportation and 2 meals covered by DIS. And for me, for my short study tour, I took a train from Stockholm to Copenhagen. And then also while you're in your city, they give you transportation passes. So in Copenhagen, I had a pass for the bus, the metro, and then in Berlin, I had the same thing, bus and metro. We also have our hotel included as well, and you're with one other person at most, and sometimes you get special accommodations to have a single room in your hotel, which is nice.
They're very generous.
And you were traveling with your professor, right?
Yes, yeah.
And one other. We have a professor and professor buddy.
Yeah.
Well, at least for me.
No, I
don't
also
know.
had that too, yeah.
And so the trips that you were going on, were they tailored to what you were learning in the classroom?
Yeah, it was a mix. So we had to have some study blocks or programs part of it. So you visit organizations or you do activities that are related to what you're studying. But then they also have activities that are outside and more for bonding.
Yeah, for me in Copenhagen, I did a lot of they call them industry visits. So my core course was machine learning. Your core course is who you travel with. but I went to a lot of just like big tech companies or startups, and we would just meet with like high execs there, and they would just talk with us about what they're doing, or we'd also meet with researchers. And then we had, I think it was a dinner or and a lunch, or a dinner or lunch every single day, and that's where we would like bond with our class. Then I also went on like museum trips, like I went to the Salvatore Dali like VR immersive experience, 'cause that like tied in art and technology, and like we just got to like hang out with our classmates, which was kind of fun.
Yeah, the concept of like going on a trip to apply what you're learning in the classroom is so unique, but it makes sense that that's what it should be, you know?
Yeah.
And we also had weekly field trips with one of our classes too.
Around Stockholm?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Or even like outside of the city a little bit. Like museum trips, again, kind of meet with Stockholm businesses that are in your field and like professionals.
I like that they have a lot of outreach and they're like constantly like involving you guys.
Yeah.
Because it can feel kind of like isolating when you go abroad, so having like a good support system is like so crucial. So tell us a little bit of what it was like when you first arrived, and what were your living situations like?
So actually, me and Maddie got to be on the same flight arriving into Stockholm, which was nice.
We did.
Yeah. And like DIS, when we first landed and like got through like security and customs. Actually, there was no customs in Stockholm, which is really nice. Yeah. They like met us there and then took us to our like housing. And then we got to our housing, and they kind of like, well, at least for me, I lived in Södermalm, which is like the southern island of Stockholm, and it's kind of like the hipster area. My building was called Högalidsgatan, and that was in the neighborhood Hornstull. It's a really good neighborhood for those of you listening. I would put that as your number one. It was the best housing. Yeah. But like we went there and we kind of had RAs, but the RAs really didn't do anything. They were just there to like show us around and also just tell us certain things. They gave us like a tour of the building where the laundry machine was, and also recycling's a huge deal. So they showed us the recycling bins and how to recycle, and also where the closest metro stop was.
Yeah, and also during our orientation for like DIS, they had whole classes on how to recycle because it's such a big deal. Like they literally just won't take your recycling or like trash if you do it wrong.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very picky. But I lived in a very different housing situation than Tyler. Like theirs was
I think it was called like a student boende. So it was a mix of actually it was only students, but it wasn't DIS students. Like I know there were some Royal Music students there, because that's also the building that DIS shared with, and just other kind of like young 20-year-olds, but there was no like strangers or anything.
Yeah, I lived in a place called Alvik, and it was a little bit farther outside of the like central Stockholm area, and it was like an apartment hotel building, so very different. And there were just people who lived there, regular like Swedish people.
And did you guys have like a choice in where you guys ended up, or did you guys just like choose like apartment in like your housing?
Yeah, there were some choices. You could do you could put down like your ranking of student boende or
residential community and homestay. Then there was another one. But yeah, you just ranked, but you couldn't choose specifically like where you wanted to live. They placed you like after your ranking.
But I think they were pretty good about trying to get you to your top option. They have these little communities that you can also sign up for, like
living and learning.
Yeah, living and learning communities. So people who like are really into outdoors and camping can all try to be part of the same living situation. And where I lived, they had like floors of just like people.
I think for mine, like the top floor, there were some people who was like the outdoor living learning community, and they would like go hiking, go go in caves around Stockholm, and like just be outside and like do a bunch of things. And they did honestly like a lot more with their living learning community than like I did with like my hallmates or my neighbors there.
That makes sense, because I feel like if those are your interests, it makes sense to sort of like group you guys together to like sort of start the introduction. I'm sure like friendships are like made that way a lot too.
Yeah. Oh, it was also cool. I don't think you did this, but for the student boendes, they have the Swedish people living on your floor. Like you meet with them and then you form kind of like community events. So DIS will give you, I think it's about like 200 krones, which is like 20 USD, to buy like food or like party supplies, and we had like a lounge, and we would just like host events where it'd be like a mixture between the DIS students and the Swedish people living there, which was kind of cool. I did get to know some Swedish people like around my floor, and like I ran into them a lot, so that was honestly like a positive about the student boende, because you could like meet a lot of interesting people and it wouldn't be like awkward.
So what's the culture norm in Sweden when it comes to like noise and, you know, just like decorum, I guess, in general?
I feel like they're a bit of a conformist society, and they all have this general culture of being very introverted and quiet. So they don't make a lot of noise. Calling people on the tunnelbana, which is like the transportation system, it's like looked down upon a little bit, or like being loud on transportation. Yeah, they just kind of really keep to themselves and are very aware of other people. Yeah.
Like even in, I say like cafes, it's really not that loud. Restaurants, everyone's kind of talking at like honestly I'd say like quieter than how I'm talking right now. Yeah, I mean they're kind of just like really respectful of others.
That's something really good to know. Like before you arrive, if that's like the culture like norm, like it's good to like adapt.
Yeah.
Respect like what it's like there.
Yeah.
What was the transportation system like in Sweden?
Honestly, the best in Europe. I'll just start with like the metro, so like the tunnelbana, like as Maddie said earlier. It's super clean, always on time. I don't think it's ever been late, really barely any problems with it as well. But the only issue is that I think it's Sunday to Thursday, it stops at midnight. Or like 1 o'clock, what was it? Midnight, 1 o'clock?
Yeah, I think it's about midnight.
Yeah, but then like on the weekends, it runs until 3 a.m. I want to say. Yeah, but there's like
So if you miss it after 12, you have to figure something out. So I've had to take like the bus home or figure out the bus system, and have also had to like use a taxi. Yeah, but it's not too crazy.
And the buses are really nice, like especially
they
during
are
the day.
nice.
They're super clean again,
Yeah.
comfy, and you get like incredible views of the city.
So safe. It's actually the best transportation
Yeah.
after traveling everywhere.
And also Sweden in general is really safe, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember when I visited, you were telling me, Maddie, about how like there's kids that go to like school by themselves starting at like really young ages, right?
Yeah, there were kids on that tunnelbana that were, I would say, as young as like 5 years old.
Yeah.
What?
Like
5?
actually, like I could not even imagine me being that age and just like going to school, and they just did it. No parents even. The fact that they could go on without their parent, like their parents let them go on, just shows like how safe they were.
Yeah. No, the children are like adults basically.
very
Like they're quiet, they're not crying. I don't think I ever heard a baby cry. Speaking of, there, it's just
Even
really
the kids
nice.
are respectful.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about what the food was like in Scandinavia in general. So, Tyler, what did you eat when you went to Denmark? What's the food like there?
So for Denmark, DIS gave me like a lot of meals. So I went to like this pizza shop, that was good. And then I guess the most notable one was on the last day I was there, DIS took us to, it was like a traditional Danish spot, and they served us like open sandwiches is kind of their big thing. It's called like smorgasbord. And it was pretty bland. We had like, there was a lot of fish and also kind of like rawish meats. It
Not
was
your-
really below expectations. Like I would never want to eat that.
Not your fave.
Yeah. Nordic food is very, compared to like other countries, it's very bland and very fish forward. I had a similar experience in Denmark. We also had like this open fish sandwich things, and our professor felt so bad. He was like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know they were gonna serve this." So, but
Ours also said that. They
Yeah.
apologized.
Well, honestly, like, I'm glad you guys, like, tried it. And, like,
Yeah.
now you know, like, it's better than, like, eating, like, you know, something that you can get anywhere else. Because now you can say that you've had, like, that type of cuisine.
Yeah.
And you know that it's not for you.
Yeah.
And even though Stockholm's, or like Sweden and the Nordic countries' food is like that, I feel like Stockholm is a little bit more heterogeneous than you think.
Yeah.
There is a lot of diversity in foods from around the world
Yeah.
there.
There's a big, I think Lebanese population. And like in Stockholm, personally, I like went out to eat a lot. So I went to like a bunch of Lebanese and Persian, like Mediterranean restaurants. And those were really good. Like some of the best I've had, honestly. And pretty cheap too, compared to like a major city in the US.
Yeah.
I think the most traditional thing I ate when I went to Sweden was like the meatballs that we talked about. I'm trying to think, what else did we eat when we... we went to that cute cafe in Gamlestan.
With all the shrimp.
It was like the Princess Diana cake or something. Like it was a traditional
princess cake. Yeah, it's a green cake. Mm-hmm. Personally, I don't like that.
You didn't like it?
That was a really cool cafe though.
But that's like perspective to like Swedish recipes, right?
Yeah. I say Swedish food, the best things they make are their pastries. Yeah. Like kanelbulle, kardemummabulle. Those are so good.
They take fika seriously there.
Fika. Talk about fika, guys.
Oh yeah, fika.
We should talk about fika.
That's a huge part of Swedish culture.
What does fika mean?
It's just like a break within their day where they just stop and slow down to have coffee and like a pastry, and it's like mandated by their like place of work and in school. Active rats. It's kind of like a siesta, I feel, but it's more like
they like chit chat. I feel like there's people at cafes all the time.
A lot of cafes though don't allow like electronics. Which is something I noticed. Like they're like no laptops because they really want to make sure it's like a no work environment.
I would say like in Barcelona, like siestas, people would chill after like noon, and then also things close. I don't know if this applies to Sweden, but like between the hours of like 12 to 2, like restaurants are not open. Like random establishments, like you can't really go there because they're taking their siesta too.
Yeah.
I'll say a lot of businesses, they close early in the day. Nothing stays open late.
That's one thing that's really unique for the US. Like the US, like something will open at like 8 a.m. and will be closed, like open throughout the whole day.
Like 10 p.m. I feel like there's one place that's closed.
Like there's no sort of like breaks ever.
I definitely think that like in Sweden, like, everyone gets their shopping or things done earlier in the day, which is kind of nice because it allows you to spend time with your family, friends, or just like the only thing you can do is like go out to eat, and it really like makes you plan ahead.
Okay, guys, so thank you for telling us a little bit about what your experience was like in Sweden. I kind of want to go more into the reflection aspect of your study abroad experience. What advice would you give to your past self who didn't exactly know what your studying abroad experience would look like?
I would say to be open to everything and honestly like not say no to things. Also, I guess this is going on like more of the travel side, but to like plan ahead and really think about what I want to do, because you think that your time abroad is going to be like a lot, but it honestly feels like it's a second. It goes by so quick, and honestly just stop, live in the moment, really appreciate the culture, and I'd also try to learn the language more, I would say.
Yeah, I would say try to embrace their culture too. I feel like these countries have aspects of their culture that are like really important and can be taken on in your life. Like in Sweden, the fika and the break, and also just their love for the outdoors too. Like their entire people are so like attached to like being outside and being in the sun. And so I feel like it's just important to be open to their
way of life in general. Yeah, I think I became way better at like transportation, getting myself places because of everywhere I traveled. Like I would use different transportation systems every week depending on what city I was in. And like I feel like I can really get myself around because you just figure it out. Like you figure out a solution.
Also budget, guys. That's one thing. That's also plan ahead, but like I wish I budgeted. That's what I'll say. Like honestly, number one thing. Budget.
You just want to feel like comfortable in like your ability to do everything that you want. So if you know that you want to like travel and take flights on the weekends and all of that, like of course if you're doing a trip, you're not going to be cooking because you need to eat and buy food. So like if that's what interests you,
you have to be very mindful because there's just so much you can do. The program is very generous, but even then,
and like the time that you're abroad is like limited, so like you want to like make it count. Go to that museum that you're really interested in. Like when else are you going to be in Sweden to go to Ice Bar? Like it's not accessible when you're in the US. So like yes, you might have to splurge here and there for your interests, but like it's worth it.
There is also a lot you can do that requires no money too.
If you're interested in DIS Stockholm or any other countries in Scandinavia for study abroad, feel free to reach out to Tyler and Maddie. They're gonna give you guys their contact information.
You guys can DM me on Instagram. It's underscore Tyler Leach, and Leach is Leech.
And you can find me at maddie.shu. Shu is SHIUH.
I hope everyone had fun listening to today's episode because I personally had so much fun recording it. A big thanks to my dear friends Maddie and Tyler for being our guests. As they mentioned, feel free to reach out to them if you have any questions about how they navigated going abroad or about DIS in general. See you in the next episode.
Hi, listeners. We'd like to remind you that the opinions expressed by our guests on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Center for Education Abroad or the University of Rochester. Our podcast aims to foster dialogue, critical thinking, and exploration of various topics related to education abroad. We encourage listeners to consider multiple viewpoints, engage in respectful discourse, and form their own opinions. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our community.